Acts of terror are becoming nearly choreographed, predictably routine. An act of violence occurs, #NotAll starts trending, and our good intentions betray us as many of us scramble to explain why any other factor is to blame beyond the ideological motive of the perpetrator. Living in fear and danger is apparently a bargain price to pay to be an unquestionably tolerant person. But I get it. I understand why people hesitate to conclude an act of terror is an act of Islamic terror. I understand why people hesitate to implicate a religious group en masse. Political correctness obstructs our discovery of the truth, but it is motivated by good intent. But what's happening presently with the weekend's terrorist activity in New York City is something different. Leadership there isn't hesitating to call the action Islamic terror. Leadership there is hesitating to call it just plain terror.
We also want to be upfront saying that there is no evidence at this point of a terror connection to this incident. But we do want to be very clear. The early indications, the initial indications is this was an intentional act.
That was New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio calling the incident an intentional explosion, but not terror. The motive for these linguistic gymnastics is unclear to me. Is it political correctness, in that even the terms terror and terrorism have a cultural connotation connected to Islam? So #NotAllMuslims and #NotAllIntentional explosions? Or was the mayor simply trying to be precise with facts to a fault, to the point he was dissecting the differences between an intentional explosion and a terrorist bombing? There may be hairs to split there, but I'm not sure the precision in language is worth the potential cost of misleading the public. But this is where we are, a place where the terms bomb and terror are controversial to use to describe an explosion in an urban center, and a place where media outlets are more eager to scrutinize the use of those terms than they are to scrutinize the attacks themselves. More troublesome still, the media's policing of these terms appears to have a politically partisan motivation. And I don't say that lightly. Mistakes, of course, happen in reporting, but I don't see how a reasonable person can accept this reporting as simple, honest, factual error. Let's examine the facts. At about 8:30 Eastern Time Saturday night, an explosive device detonated in the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan, injuring 29 but causing no fatalities due to the poor planning of the attacker not realizing the trash container where he planted the bomb would contain the majority of the blast's shrapnel. Those specific facts were not immediately available, however, and Donald Trump arrived at a campaign event in Colorado Springs at about 9:30 Eastern, noting a bomb had been detonated in New York City about 45 minutes earlier.
Just before I got off the plane, a bomb went off in New York, and nobody knows exactly what's going on, but boy, we are living in a time. We better get very tough, folks. We better get very, very tough.
Hillary Clinton spoke roughly 2 hours after that at about 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time from her campaign plane.
I've been briefed about the bombings in New York and New Jersey and the attack in Minnesota. Obviously, we need to do everything we can to support our first responders, also to pray for the victims. We have to let this investigation unfold. We've been in touch with various officials, including the mayor's office in New York, to learn what they are discovering as they conduct this investigation. And I'll have more to say about it when we actually know some facts.
Objectively, very similar statements from the candidates. There's been a bomb.
A bomb went off in New York.
I've been briefed about the bombings in New York.
And we don't yet know the details.
And nobody knows exactly what's going on.
And I'll have more to say about it when we actually know some facts.
Except for one key difference with Hillary's comments. A reporter asked Hillary for her reaction to Donald Trump's use of the term bomb to describe the explosion while he was on stage in Colorado Springs.
Do you have any reaction to the fact that Donald Trump immediately upon taking the stage tonight called the explosion in New York a bomb and said that to the crowd?
Well, I think it's important to know the facts about any incident like this.
A strange question, considering Hillary prefaced her comments no more than 30 seconds earlier with, quote, "I have been briefed about the bombings in New York." But it was a time of breaking news, facts coming in and developing moment by moment. The question itself doesn't seem very aware of what the candidate just said, but it doesn't seem very harmful either. But the question and answer could be misleading if removed from context. If, say, someone edited out the part where Hillary called the incident a bombing and extracted only her commentary emphasizing caution and patience for facts, it's a dishonest move, but there's a reason less than 1 in 5 Americans trust TV news.
There is a contrast, I would say, between how you're speaking about it and how Mr. Trump spoke about it yesterday. He's being criticized for talking about the New York bomb before local officials or local law enforcement had a chance to do so. He told the Colorado Springs crowd that a bomb went off in New York and nobody knows exactly what's going on. That's really just a few minutes after the incident. Now, his opponent tried to draw a contrast. She waited hours later until local officials spoke, and then she said this.
I think it's important to know the facts about any incident like this. I think it's always wiser to wait until you have information before making conclusions.
That was CNN's State of the Union show Sunday morning, and it's not the only place the network omitted Hillary using the same bomb term that Trump did. On Twitter, CNN cut those comments from video of Hillary's statements, giving the impression she never said them at all. And CNN wasn't the only offender. NBC gave the same impression on their Sunday morning program.
Both candidates responding to the explosion in really different ways. Donald Trump at his late night rally in Colorado, bringing it up just minutes after reports began surfacing. Hillary Clinton talked about it later on that night on her press plane with reporters.
Just before I got off the plane, a bomb went off in New York, and nobody knows exactly what's going on. But boy, we are living in a time.
It's always wiser to wait until you have information before making conclusions.
And again on their Sunday evening program.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are reacting in very different ways. Their responses reinforcing the contrast in their leadership styles. Here's Hallie Jackson.
After multiple attacks, 2 very different responses.
Just before I got off the plane, a bomb went off in New York.
Donald Trump reacting fast, just minutes after reports surfaced of the Manhattan explosion, before authorities had confirmed what happened. Hillary Clinton, meanwhile, now labeling the weekend's incidents apparent terrorist attacks. Late Saturday, counseling caution.
We have to let this investigation unfold, and I'll have more to say about it when we actually know some facts.
With apparently no shame, NBC emphasized Trump's recklessness in using the term bomb while themselves describing the incident as a bombing. And maybe you're thinking, wait. Trump called the incident a bombing before details were confirmed, and Hillary waited until after details were confirmed, and that's an important distinction. And maybe it would be, but the timeline does not align with that explanation. The bomb exploded at about 8:30 Eastern. Trump spoke at about 9:15 Eastern. Hillary spoke before 11:20 Eastern, with video posted at that time by an ABC News reporter, just before Mayor Bill de Blasio offered the substantive pieces of his press conference shortly after 11:20 Eastern. To be clear, both candidates called this incident a bombing. Both candidates acknowledged there were more details forthcoming, and both candidates offered their comments before the New York City mayor's press conference. And both candidates offered very short pieces of commentary, making it extremely unlikely that media outlets just accidentally edited out the part where Hillary also called it a bomb. It's either complete incompetence or agenda-driven deception. There's not necessarily a smoking gun for the latter case. The gun might be missing, but the cloud of smoke is too large to ignore. There's no reasonable explanation for this reporting outside of intentional deception. Perhaps CNN and NBC might say their insistence on factual accuracy led them to scrutinize the use of the term bomb, but surely insistence on factual accuracy can't be your defense if you use factual inaccuracy to make your case. At present, I don't see an explanation here besides naked media partisanship, a reconstruction of the facts to suit a partisan agenda. They're selling us a story that the reckless inaccuracy of words is dangerous, using reckless inaccuracy to make their point. When that happens, the media fails to be an arbiter between two candidates, and it becomes just another candidate itself, pushing agenda-driven half-truths. The good news is, in the internet age, it's tough to get away with that level of dishonesty. When everyone has a camera and a means to distribute the footage, the truth has a pesky habit of surfacing, and that's only a problem for you if the truth is a problem for you. That's a wake-up call to mainstream media sources. You don't last long as truth's enemy, and your polling and viewership numbers reflect that. It's not too late, but you better hurry. The 1 guy in 5 who still likes you is about to check his Twitter feed. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at Matt C on YT. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Okay, bye.